something I'll never forget. I've been doing Shark Week for 32 years. I've never seen anything like that, an encounter like that.
For centuries, sailors whispered of a monster that ruled the oceans. A predator so massive it could swallow a great white shark, the Megalodon. Officially, it's been extinct for millions of years. Or has it? Here at Disturbing Megalodon Sightings, the public was never supposed to see. The Mariana Trench sighting. A few years ago, a video began circulating the internet and it shows a gigantic shark scouring the seafloor. People online quickly put a story to this video saying that allegedly this is a Megalodon that was caught on camera at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Now the creature is seen swimming over top of what is apparently an abandoned shark cage, and the video seems to be enough to have convinced many people, including myself, and hopefully you. This video certainly is compelling, and whatever we see is most definitely terrifying to look at, but with my very limited knowledge of anything that lives in the sea, because it's terrifying, it's tough to say anything further. Also, it's been extinct, so who knows really at this point. While some people swear this is solid proof, others have brought up sharks that may have a similar appearance to the one seen in the video. Back in 1959, a fisherman named Tex Geddes and his friend James Gavin were boating somewhere just off the coast of Scotland. It is said that during their time out to sea, they encountered a sea monster that neither of them had ever seen before. Living in Scotland, I don't know, you see Loch Ness Monster and stuff, that says something. They described its head as being a sort of turtle shaped and that it was a hellish monster of prehistoric times. That's quite the quote. What was it like? Oh, it was a hellish monster of prehistoric times. Okay, maybe anything less jarring? It said that it was breathing heavily through a large red gash of a mouth. Okay, not exactly a kind description, but bear with me here. It's definitely a bit more terrifying than one would imagine, but it is the Megalodon. I think it's important to bring up that we don't actually know what Megalodons looked like. No, Jason Statham, that movie was fake. That's not what they look like. We have a sort of idea, but at the end of the day, we only have fossils. That doesn't really leave us that much to work with. While it isn't quite clear what these two men saw for sure, and it's likely that we'll never know, whatever it was definitely wasn't just the average sea creature. It was something big. Hellish of prehistoric times, if I've heard correctly. The photographer. Now this one here is an encounter that occurred just last year in November. Underwater photographer Derek Verbeck was diving off the coast of Hawaii's Big Island when he saw what he thought was a school of fish. Seems pretty friendly at first. Hey guys, what's going on? But then he began to get a little closer. And I mean, the whole photographer thing, being brave, getting that close, already you've got my vote. But when he gets closer, he started to think that what he was actually seeing was a tiger shark. He continued to get closer and closer, and that's when he said, I kept looking at the head and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not a tiger shark. And it got closer and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Darren continued to get closer to the shark and estimated it to be over 15 feet, which is definitely quite large. I mean, I'm 6 feet, like two of me plus more as a shark? No way, I'm never swimming again. He explained that the shark was not acting in a threatening way, thankfully, so he continued to try and take his photos and shot as much as he could, before the massive shark decided to eventually swim away. Experts explained that the shark was likely in the area because of humpback whales, and honestly, I don't want to see the shark that could take down one of those beasts. I'm all set, personally. The sailors. This gigantic shark sighting is said to have taken place in the 1960s, just off the edge of Australia's Great Barrier Reef. According to author B.C. Cartmel in his book called Let's Go Fossil Shark Tooth Hunting, bit wordy for a book title in my opinion, but who am I? The sailors involved in this sighting initially refused to talk about it because of the fear of being teased for being afraid of what they had seen. No, you're gonna be teased of your book title. That's about it for me. After some time, however, they began to speak about the incident and they opened up. And that's when things got a little scary. They explained that while they were on board their 85-foot ship, they needed to weigh anchor in order to conduct some engine repairs. Classic stuff, classic sailor stuff. While this was ongoing, the crew became absolutely shocked at what they saw. They saw the biggest shark they'd ever seen slowly swim past their completely stuck ship. So just like that last one, all the men agreed that they were not mistaking a whale and that this was indeed a shark of some sorts. They also said that this shark was so large it was rivaling the boat in size, which as I mentioned was 85 feet. It's a big boat, okay? It's like a yacht in my opinion. This is absolutely massive and terrifying. Whether it was really a megalodon or not, whatever shark they saw that day certainly wasn't the average size and is a certain reason why I'm not swimming again. Nope. The Capetown Chronicles. In recent years, Cape Town's coast has emerged as the hotspot for these alleged Megalodon sightings, attracting the attention of both shark enthusiasts and skeptics at the same time. Now, witnesses, ranging from seasoned fishermen to tourists, report seeing sharks of unprecedented size. Now, these encounters are not just about seeing larger than usual sharks. No, the descriptions here suggest creatures far exceeding the known dimensions of any existing shark species ever, including the formidable great white that many have maybe mistaken for in the past. Some accounts describe sharks up to 50 feet long with massive triangular dorsal fins cutting through the water, just a scale that dwarfs even the largest recorded great white sharks. I mean, if this is true, that's massive. That's like the size of a yacht. That's insane. For a real animal, that's terrifying. This isn't the Meg 3. The Meg 3D, I guarantee you that's next. Local divers speak of eerie experiences where the shadows, much larger than any known shark, loom in the murky depths below. Now, fishermen off the coast recount tales of these gigantic bites taken out of their catch, or their nets just being completely destroyed by something extraordinarily powerful. Now, the frequency of these reports has been increasing, which is why I added it to the list, and with each account, the legend just grows further. Is it a case of mistaken identity, or is there something really more to these stories? USS Indianopolis. This is a story that has been considered the worst shark attack in history, which is definitely a horrific thing to think about. In 1945, the USS Indianopolis was sailing in the Pacific when it was struck by a Japanese torpedo. This had no problem tearing the ship in two, which meant that 900 sailors were now floating in the ocean, waiting for rescue. Or so they thought. Over the next 5 days, nearly all 600 men lost their lives due to shark attacks. I said this about the other one that was similar, and I'll say it again. It's either a group of sharks, like a school of fish that maybe someone's looking at, or maybe it's one very large, very hungry shark. The fact that they're indistinguishable is kind of scary. From the survivors' accounts of what happened over the course of those days, it seems like an absolute nightmare situation from the get-go. This is exactly why it's gone on to be one of the worst shark attacks in history, and that's more than fair. But was it numerous sharks or just one big one? 2 specimens. This story comes from all the way back in 1869 when an Irish scientist headed out on an expedition to Seychelles. Also, what a crazy name for a place. Like Seychelles, because we're by the sea. It's like, nah, all right, you're cute. It is said that he went there to study fish, but man, he was not prepared for the specimens that he would go on to study that day. It is said that he found one that was over 15 meters, right, so almost 50 feet, but the other one really took the cake. The second specimen, that one really blew it out of the water, pun intended. The second specimen was supposedly 23 meters large, which is a massive 75 feet. Now, since this was so long ago, there isn't any official documentation of it, but if there had been, the second one would hold the record for being the largest ever seen. How wild is that? Again, I'm never swimming in the ocean ever again. Goodbye. The demon. There are many stories and alleged sightings of what is now referred to as the Black Demon of Cortez, which is said to be this massive black shark seen right off of Mexico's Baja coast. Now, one story in particular regarding this elusive shark comes from a fisherman named Eric Mack. Again, he's a fisherman, so he's seen quite a few things in his life. He had reported that one day while sailing, he felt his boat begin to rock, which immediately gave him the feeling that something was not right. Eric was even further startled when he explained that he saw this massive, towering tail sticking at least 5 feet out of the water. Now, the stories of this shark are so infamous that it was even the focus of an episode of a History Channel show called Monster Quest. Yeah, the guy made it to Monster Quest. You know, it's like the big leagues if you're a shark. It's like he made it to Hollywood.